Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Suncoast Credit Union Arena here in Fort Myers, Florida, as this afternoon your Maryland Terrapins take on the Towson Tigers. I'm John Vittas, coming to you on the Maryland Radio Network, streaming live on YouTube and the One Maryland app as we get ready for the second game of three here this weekend between the 14th ranked Terrapins and today their Beltway rivals, the Towson Tigers. Laura Harper, former Maryland great, the head coach for Towson, and so it is a Terp reunion at center court right now. Coach Harper exchanging some hugs with her fellow Terrapin. She'll always be a Terrapin, but right now the head coach for Towson, coming over from Coppin State, where she was the head coach the last 2 years. She's also been an assistant at Loyola of Maryland, American, and GW. So she knows the DMV well, and it's an all-DMV matchup here on day two of the Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off. A round-robin event. There is no bracket for this tournament. The teams knew who they were playing coming in, and Maryland plays the early game all 3 days. So 11 a.m. yesterday, 11:30 today, and 11:30 a.m. again tomorrow. It was a disappointing result for the Terps yesterday, losing 76-67 against the DePaul Blue Demons, a team that has been in the NCAA tournament 18 of the last 19 years. And even though they had started 2-2, that is not a result to be ashamed of with, Doug Bruno at the helm there. They are perennially at the very top of the Big East Conference. It's a game that Coach Brenda Freese will be disappointed with, no doubt, but not a terrible loss at this stage of the season for Maryland. So they'll look to get back on track today and improve to 5-2 on the early year and try and stay in the top 25 coming into this tournament at number 14 in the AP poll. It's a busy weekend of Maryland athletics, of course, coming up in just over 30 minutes from now over at CQ Stadium. Maryland football rounding out their regular season at noon against Rutgers, trying to get to 7-5 for the year. Maryland volleyball wrapped up their regular season yesterday with a 5-set win at Indiana in Bloomington. So a quality win in the Big Ten for Maryland volleyball. And Maryland men's basketball with a win over Terp great Juan Dixon yesterday over at the Xfinity Center to stay undefeated on the early season. We are getting ready for the national anthem here in Fort Myers. The two teams lining up on their respective free throw lines. Maryland will be in the red jerseys today and Towson in the white. They are the home team for today's game. So we will send it over to PA announcer Alan Woodard for the national anthem and starting lineups here from the Suncoast Credit Union Arena.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Suncoast Credit Union Arena for day two of the Elevance Health Women's Fort Myers tip-off, featuring the designated road team on the scoreboard, the Maryland Terrapins, and the designated home team on the scoreboard, the Towson Tigers. At this time, we ask everyone to please rise with your hats to be playing our national anthem.
And now it's time to meet the starting lineups for these two respective teams, Maryland and Towson.
The starting lineups for both teams. First, for those in the road team in red, Maryland Terrapins. At guard, 6'2" sophomore from Aurora, Ohio, number 0, Cheyenne Sellers. At guard, a 6'3" senior from Somerset, New Jersey, number 1, Diamond Miller. At guard, a 6' senior from Potomac, Maryland, number 10, Abby Myers. At guard, 5'8" grad from Verona, Italy, number 12, Eliza Pinzon. And at forward, a 6'1" senior from Belmont, New Jersey, number 13, Peyton Solis. The head coach for Maryland in her 21st season is Brenda Freeze. And now, doesn't have home team on the scoreboard, the Towson Tigers. At guard, a 5'8" grad student from Minneapolis, Indiana, number 1, Sky Williams. At guard, 5'7" junior from Brooklyn, New York, number 13, Alexia Nelson. At guard, 5'10" redshirt junior from Camden, Delaware, number 15, Kylie Courtney Lucas. At forward, a 6-foot freshman from Ellicott City, Maryland, number 21, Gabby Scott. And at forward, a 6'2" sophomore from Greensboro, North Carolina, 34, Messiah Bullhorn. The head coach for Towson in her first season is Laura Harper.
So there you have it, the starting lineups here at the beautiful Suncoast Credit Union Arena here in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm John Vittas, once again, ready to bring you the action. Day 2 of 3 at the Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off. Maryland in their all-red uniforms here on day 2. Eliza Pinzon in the all-red leggings as well to go with the red uniform. And the Towson Tigers in the white with yellow shoes and yellow accents on their uniforms. Towson across the chest in white with black lettering, and Maryland across the chest on the other side in all white for the Terrapins. It's Laura Harper against her former college coach. She helped Brenda Freeze and Maryland win a national championship back in 2006. It's been a long decade as a coach for Laura Harper. She has moved all around the Eastern Seaboard, but is back in her state of Maryland and coaching the Towson Tigers after 2 years at Coppin State. Maryland coming off a 9-point loss yesterday against DePaul. They are now 4-2 on the regular season. Towson also lost yesterday in a hard-fought game against Pittsburgh. They were leading for much of that game before the Panthers came back in the second half to take the lead. Maryland trailed for most of the game yesterday. They did have brief leads at the end of the third quarter and early in the fourth quarter, but some late layups for DePaul gave them the separation they needed to pull that one out. Ready for the tip. Maryland will go from left to right. Towson will move from right to left on your dial here on the Maryland Radio Network. Happy to have you along on this Saturday morning, getting set for this 11:30 tip. Officials waiting for the go-ahead to put the ball in play, but Towson was undefeated before this tournament. They're suffering their first loss of the season yesterday. The Tigers are 3-1. Officials ready to go. The ball is about to be sent up in the air. There it goes. And the tap is won by Diamond Miller. Faith Masonis runs it down in front of the sideline. And here we go. Maryland and Towson, a beltway battle all the way down here in Southwest Florida. First move is from Sellers, who got just her second start of the season. And the attempt was blocked by Towson, and the Tigers will have it for their first possession 20 seconds in. This is Kylie Cornegay Lucas, the redshirt junior transfer from UVA, puts up a lefty floater, back of the rim no good. Offensive rebound and putback doesn't go from Gabby Scott, and the rebound down to Diamond Miller. Fires up ahead to Sellers. Sellers across midcourt, swings it back the other way. Miller into the corner for Pinzon. Pinzon circles around, fires down low to Myers. Myers now trapped along the end line, and it's knocked out of bounds by Towson. It'll stay with Maryland. It'll be a baseline inbound for Elisa Pinzon, who played her college basketball here in the state of Florida for USF. Gets it inside to Myers, who's now triple teamed on the block. They fall to the floor for it, and it's going to be called a jump ball. Arrow favors Towson. So the Tigers will get it back with no score. Less than 1 minute in. Maryland with some full court pressure. This press is what got the Terps back into the game in the third quarter yesterday. That was the only quarter that Maryland outscored the Blue Demons. Tigers break the press and reset the ball up top. This is Alexia Nelson, junior from New York City. Now Cornegay Lucas to the elbow, puts up the 12-foot jumper off the mark, tapped around by Abby Myers, and it ends up with Sellers. Sends it up ahead to Miller. Miller backs it out. Oh, Sellers had it knocked away. Cornegay Lucas on the steal. Breakaway the other way with Sellers in pursuit. Sellers got a hand on the basketball. The layup is missed, and Towson cannot convert on two amazing opportunities. Still scoreless, a minute and a half in. Bounce pass, top of the key for Masonis. Masonis will pull along too, and she got it. Faith Masonis hits the shot for Maryland, and the Terrapins go up by 2. More pressure here from the Terrapins. Cornegay Lucas playing catch with Nelson. They fired across up ahead to Williams. Sky Williams, the point guard, got trapped underneath. Now to the elbow. This is Fulmore. Fulmore into Masonis. Missed the shot. Gets her own miss. Ball gets knocked around, but Fulmore scoops it up for Towson. Shot clock never reset. It's down to 8 now, and now they're going to blow the play dead and check in with the scoring table. Officials will get together, and I think they are going to reset the shot clock. Ball was batted around a couple of times, but I thought it did hit the rim. And yes, they are going to put 17 on the shot clock. Offensive rebounds will get the shot clock back up to 20 seconds, and they say that 3 seconds elapsed after the ball hit the rim. So 17 on the shot clock. Ball is inbounded to Williams, the 5'8 grad transfer out of Eastern Florida State. And she is trapped now. Great defense from the Terps. Wild pass is tracked down by Nelson. 2 to shoot. Nelson down the lane, puts up a scoop shot and got the roll. Creative play from Alexia Nelson to give Towson their first points. Myers, top of the key, firing now to the baseline. Masonis, a 10-foot jumper is good. Masonis puts Maryland back in front, 4-2. 2.5 minutes in from Fort Myers. More pressure. Sellers at the top of the full court press for the Terps. Towson does break it. Nelson up ahead to Williams. Williams down the lane. Lefty scoop shot again and again. The roll is there for Towson. Lefty jumper for Williams, and we're tied at 4. Sellers will pull up along too, and that's good. So Maryland shooting much better today than they did in the first quarter yesterday, where they were just 2 for 18 from the field. Maryland was down 5 at the end of the first quarter. Sellers gets her hand on the pass and rips it away. It's a fast break for the Terps. Diagonal pass, though, knocked away, and Towson gets it back. Here is Williams across midcourt for Towson. Now rounding the corner, puts up a crazy floater and gets it to go. Sky Williams with a chance for a 3-point play for the Tigers. So a chance for a 3-point play for Sky Williams, who is comfortable on this court. Playing for the Eastern Florida Titans, a junior college program for 2 years. Played multiple times on this court against Florida Southwestern, which is the host school of this event. Williams scored 27 points on this court back on February 5th, 2020. Baseline drive here is Briggs into the game for the first time. Baseline bounce pass, no good. Knocked away by the Tigers and stolen by Nelson. Towson 7, Maryland 6. 6:18 to go in the first quarter. Across midcourt for Alexia Nelson, working it towards the Maryland bench. Now dribbles it back over towards the middle of the court. She's on the logo, guarded tightly by Briggs. Shot clock down to 12. Nelson lost it for a moment, picked up her dribble, has to get rid of it now. Looking for a teammate, passes wild, and stolen again by Sellers. Sellers, the crossover dribble, will bring it up for Maryland. Heads it to Pinzon. Now on the drive, it's Briggs. Resets to Pinzon, down the lane, open look, but a travel. Elisa had to kind of juggle that ball on a low feed, and as she moved forward to shoot it, is called for the travel. It's been a hectic start to this game. The Maryland full court press has really made this a sloppy start, which has played into their favor. Towson has not been able to get into any sets offensively as the Terps get their hand on another pass there. Cornegay Lucas, the bounce pass was deflected out of bounds. It'll stay with Towson in front of the scorer's table with 5:45 to go in the first quarter. Tigers lead by 1. Bounce pass into Williams. Williams just had the 3-point play a moment ago. Gets around Myers, lost it, knocked away from behind. Myers goes to the floor for it and is able to find Pinzon. The Italian point guard across midcourt for Maryland. Swings it wide. Myers open for three. No. Offensive rebound, Briggs. Reverse layup doesn't go for Lavender Briggs. And the rebound pulled in by Fulmore. So a missed opportunity there for Maryland as Williams slows it down. Works at the logo. Near sideline now. Trying to get around Briggs towards the baseline. Interior pass is mishandled. And it's going to be Towson ball, I believe. Laura Harper will bring in Ty Johnson, first person off the bench. Or Ty Johnson, I beg your pardon, for the Tigers. Cornegay Lucas, the baseline inbound, gets it in for Scott. Scott's jumper is short. Sellers taps it to herself and gets another board. Here's Sellers, head of steam across midcourt. Pass up ahead for Myers was bobbled. Now an open three for Pinzon, top of the arc, and she buries it. Elisa Pinzon gives Maryland the lead. 9-7 Terps, just under midway through the first quarter. Cornegay Lucas fires up ahead. Second pass to the wing. Here's a long two. That one rattles in for Towson. Count the bucket for Ryan Evans, senior from Columbia, Maryland, ties us up at 9. Briggs pulls up inside the arc, lets her defender fly by, puts up the jump shot off the mark, tapped around, and the rebound to Johnson. Finds her point guard, Williams, who will walk it up across midcourt with 23 to shoot for Towson. Tied at 9 in the early going. Williams defended by Pinzon, top of the arc, swings it right. Here's Cornegay Lucas, the former Cavalier, working on Myers. Wanted to kick it, and then they're going to call her for a travel. Pivot foot moved, and it's a turnover. Maryland will have it on the other side of the immediate timeout. 4:11 to go in the first. Maryland 9, Towson 9. You're listening to the Maryland Radio Network here at the Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off.
Elevance Health, your lifetime trusted health partner. All right, fans, if you're ready for a t-shirt, it's time for Elevance Health t-shirt toss. Make some noise! And as always, don't forget the fans behind the score table.
We welcome you back to Fort Myers, Florida. You're listening to the Maryland Radio Network as the Terps are in a tie game with Towson just 6 minutes in. Maryland's defense has been ratcheted up early. They have forced a couple turnovers on the Towson side. But despite that, the Tigers have hit 4 of their last 5 shots. And we mentioned it before the game, but all kinds of Maryland ties in this game. Not only are these two universities located in Maryland, but Laura Harper, the head coach for Towson, was on the Maryland National Championship team back in 2006. And she brought over a Maryland assistant with her, Joe Glowacki, who was on the Maryland staff the last decade or so, is now an assistant coach for Towson. There's a good drive by Diamond Miller, draws the foul and will go to the line. It's been a quiet start for Diamond, who actually came out for a couple minutes there in the early going. Miller was in some foul trouble yesterday, just never really able to get it going. Came in averaging 21 points per game this week and had only 11 points on 3 of 12 shooting yesterday. Makes the first free throw. Maryland did not have a single player with more than 13 points in the loss to DePaul. So looking for some more offense today. They already have more field goals in this quarter than they did in the first quarter yesterday. They only made 2 shots in the entire first quarter against DePaul. They've made 4 field goals so far today. Williams breaks the press, gets all the way through. Lefty layup off the window is no good. But Sky Williams will go to the free throw line for Towson after Miller made a pair on the other side. It's the Terps by 2 with 3:51 left in the first. Sky Williams, who averaged 15 points per game over 2 years at the junior college level, has averaged 7 points per game in her 2 years with Towson, now in her 5th year of college. Lefty free throw is good. She made them both, and we're tied again, 11-11 from Fort Myers. They get it ahead to Briggs. Briggs at the top of the arc, hands to Masonis. Masonis drops it back. Miller all alone, a long three is short, and the rebound handled by Tye Johnson. Cornegay Lucas down the lane, bounce pass and a beautiful feed for Scott, who missed the layup. Was all alone on the weak side block and couldn't get it to go. It's tapped around. Masonis wins the rebound. Here's Miller to the top of the key. She resets, pins on open for 3. That one's off the mark. Offensive rebound, Maryland. Putback is up and good. Brene Alexander just into the game for the first time. The transfer from Vanderbilt able to lay it in to give Maryland a 2-point lead. Towson breaks the press. Williams crosses over top of the key. Bounce pass for Cornegay Lucas. They're going to call Williams for a travel. That is the 5th turnover already for Towson here in the first quarter. And so the Terps will have it leading by 2 with 3:04 to go in the first. Towson has not been blocking out well the last few possessions on rebounds on this end. So we'll see if Maryland can continue to scoop up offensive rebounds. That's something they did well yesterday in the loss. Miller, a tough fadeaway from 10 feet is no good. Rebound handled by Johnson of Towson. Maryland will not press off the missed shot as they back up to defend Cornegay Lucas. Defended by Sellers, far side of the court. Trying to get it back towards the middle, now veering towards the corner. Help comes from Masonis. They fire it left now into the other corner. Williams drives the baseline. Terps come over to help. Here's a 3 from the other side, and it's good. That's actually going to be a long 2 for Ryan Evans, her second bucket of the quarter. In transition, Alexander couldn't get the tough layup, went into contact there and missed it. Now headed the other way. It's Williams. Williams towards the near corner, fended off by Sellers, has to give it up. Good pass, open 3 for Towson is short. Rebounded by Sellers. Long pass, Miller's ahead of the pack. Lefty scoop shot is good. Diamond Miller beats Towson down the court and scores for the Terps to make it 15-13 Maryland. Sellers now at the top of that press. Williams and Cornegay Lucas have done a good job breaking it lately. Cornegay Lucas around the back dribble. Resets to Williams. She'll try the straight on 3 and buries it. Sky Williams puts Towson in front. 16-15 Tigers with 1:38 to go in the first quarter. Here's the handoff for Miller. Miller top of the key and a foul call to reach in against Towson. That's just their second foul of the quarter. And Nelson back in for Towson. Maryland will have an inbound under their own hoop. 1:30 on the clock. Terps trail by 1. Inside feed. Briggs has to back it out. Hands to Sellers. Sellers top of the arc. Masonis left alone for 3. You bet. Faith Masonis makes the Tigers pay with an open 3 from the middle of the arc there for Maryland. 2-point lead for the Terrapins. Williams trying to break the press, crosses over across the logo. Shot clock already under 20. Now in the corner, there is a turnover again. That was India Johnston, who's in the game for the first time, stepping on the sideline. And so Maryland will get it back with just over a minute to play in the first quarter. Terps up by 2. Sellers will walk it up for Maryland. Sellers had 13 points off the bench yesterday, now starting in this game. Oh, not a lot of tight defense. She's going to pull the wide open two-pointer, and it's no good. Rebound handled by Nelson, now racing across the arc, gets to the baseline and stepped out of bounds. Another Towson turnover. Oh, they have wasted no time getting up the court. Tigers have played fast, but too many turnovers here in the first quarter. That is now 7 Towson turnovers as we hit the 40-second mark here in the first. Maryland by 2. Sellers brings it up slowly, gets it to Myers on the near side. Myers towards the free throw line, pulls up and hits. Contested 2 for Abby Myers. The Princeton transfer gives Maryland their largest lead at 4 points, 20-16 Terps. Johnson on the near side. Resets to Williams on the Rocket Mortgage logo at midcourt. 15 seconds remaining. Williams will burn some clock to make sure that the Tigers get the final shot. 10 seconds now. Williams still dribbling, crosses over on Sellers, gets all the way through and lays it in. Brilliant move by Williams to make it a 2-point game. Sellers to midcourt, fires ahead to Masonis, but the buzzer sounds. Maryland will not get a shot off as they try to get inside the half-court line. We're at the end of one exciting quarter of action from Fort Myers, Florida. It's the Terps 20 and the Tigers 18. You're listening to Maryland Women's Basketball on the Maryland Radio Network. Both teams break the huddle here at the Suncoast Credit Union Arena, a cozy 3,500-seat arena here in the center of Fort Myers, Florida. This Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off started on Monday with the men's bracket. Here we are on day 2 of the ladies' bracket with Maryland leading by 2. Myers swings it to the near side for Briggs. We are underway here in the second quarter. Faith Masonis dumps it down low. Diamond Miller in traffic, tries to dribble it out. Now with a lefty scoop, and what a move. Diamond Miller now with 6 points, able to somehow swiftly scoop it across the lane and give Maryland a 4-point lead, 22-18 Terrapins. Slow developing possession as Nelson moves the Tigers around. Towson in the white, moving from right to left. Nelson dribbles up top. Cornegay Lucas drives on Masonis, pulls up at the block. It's off the mark, tapped around underneath. And it's going to go out of bounds. Masonis tried to save it, but it'll be a fresh 20 for Towson with a baseline inbound coming. We have not seen the freshmen today from Maryland. We saw Brenda Freese get them in very early in the game. 3 of her 4 freshmen saw action in the first quarter yesterday. That has not been the case today. It's been a pretty tight 7-player rotation for the Terps. And there's an offensive foul on the drive. Myers drew it, and Maryland will get it back. Terps were 2 for 18 in the first quarter yesterday, 7 for 16 today, 44%. Much, much better. And a 4-point lead against Towson. A minute into the second. Pinzon calls out the play. Miller comes to the free throw line. They have to get it to Briggs instead. Now Briggs lobs it to Miller. One-on-one. Working on Cornegay-Lucas. Had to kick it out. Here's Masonis circling through. Pulls up from the elbow. Back of the rim. High rebound. Knocked around. Oh, Miller somehow gets it. Lays it up with the left hand through traffic. Diamond Miller came out of nowhere to just barely get a fingertip on that rebound. Tapped it to herself and then gave a cut to the rim to lay it in. It's 8 points early for Miller, and Maryland has their largest lead, up by 6. Nelson on the far side, swings it to the top of the arc. Now to the free throw line, Cornegay-Lucas working on Miller, pulls up for 2, spins off, no good, and a rebound to Diamond Miller. The Terp superstar making her presence felt. Myers on the cut. Myers missed it. And then Briggs goes battling for the rebound. It's going to be out of bounds off of Towson. Oh, that was a chance that, or I'm sorry, it's going to be Towson ball. That's a chance that Abby Myers would love to have back. A perfect feed on a cutting attempt right under the hoop, and she missed it. Pinzon now at the top of the full court pressure. 2 minutes into the second quarter. Sky Williams will get it across for Towson and surveys the scene at the top of the arc. Crossing over to the right side now. Shot clock already down to 12. Nothing going yet for Towson. Williams crosses over, gets inside, now has to fire it to the other side of the court, and she overthrows her teammate. Was looking for India Johnston, and it's another Towson turnover. 9 turnovers already for the Tigers. Maryland by 6. Pinzon, top of the arc. Will hand to Myers. Myers defended by Williams. Myers gets around towards the left side. Now dumps it down low. Masonis on the cut and missed the lefty scoop shot. And then Myers goes over the back and will be called for the foul. Great cut by Masonis, but everything but the finish. And now we will see our first freshman in there for the Terps as Mila Reynolds checks into the game. 2,100 points at South Bend, Washington High School from South Bend, Indiana. Reynolds played 7 minutes yesterday for the Terps and is back out there here in the second quarter today. 7:20 remaining. Williams with it for Towson, top of the key, defended by Pinzon. And now a travel. A little indecision trying to get it to Johnston. Johnston really didn't come after the ball as aggressively as Williams wanted, as they have some words with each other moving to the defensive end of the court. Terps still by 6. Pinzon goes right, looks for Miller, bounce past Miller on the block, changing direction, righty scoop shot spins in. Diamond Miller absorbing contact and able to finish again. An 8-point lead for the Terrapins. Cornegay-Lucas far side, defended by Briggs, and Briggs kicked it. Maryland was ready to run the other way. A late call, but the proper call, and Towson will get it back with 21 to shoot, and Laura Harper will use a timeout. Maryland on a run right now. It's the Terps 26 and Towson 18 here on the Maryland Radio Network.
This timeout is brought to you by Old Trafford. Thank you for playing Fort Myers. Women's tip-off, proud sponsor, Old Trafford.
Well, as the teams break the huddle here in Fort Myers, we want to send our well wishes to Maryland football today. They are getting set to kick off over at CQ Stadium against Rutgers, looking to finish the regular season with a 7-5 record. So best of luck to Coach Loxley and the Terps up in College Park today. We'll see where they end up in terms of their bowl game assignment pretty soon. Really exciting win up at Yankee Stadium last season for Maryland football, and so some of you may be tuned into them, maybe listening to us here on our YouTube live feed, One Maryland app, and on FSWBucks.com as well. 6:52 to go in the second quarter. Maryland women's hoops lead by 8, with Sky Williams receiving the high pass at midcourt. Hands now to Johnston. Johnston to the right side for Cornegay Lucas. Shot clock down to 11. Cornegay Lucas trying to drive around Briggs. Lost it for a second. Able to outlet it to Williams. Williams now on the baseline. Has to give it up. Johnston the three. And Johnston hits it. Tough shot stepping into the pass and hitting the three. Towson needed that bucket in a big way. Cuts it to a 5-point game. Maryland 26, Towson 21, with 6:20 remaining in the first half. Briggs received the cross-court pass and walked with it. Officials have been real tight on the travel calls today. And the Terps have 6 turnovers. Towson with 10 turnovers. Both teams have shot it at a pretty good percentage when they haven't been turning the ball over. 6:10 to go in the first half. Here's Johnson with it up top. Maryland's defense has been good all day, really slowing down these Towson sets. Cornegay Lucas looking for a teammate, has to bounce pass it to Evans, back to Cornegay Lucas on the baseline, got around the defender and laid it in. Tough move from the former Wahoo, Cornegay Lucas, getting by the defender and all the way to the rim. Pinzon circles through, now hands to Sellers. Sellers will try the three. Back of the rim, no good, and the rebound handled by Fulmore. Kenzia Fulmore with the rebound, and then she runs the floor, gets the feed, but missed the layup. Great hustle by Fulmore, but not able to score for Towson. Maryland back the other way. Pinzon with it up top. Gets it to the near side for Briggs. The dump down to the corner for Miller. Miller backs it out to the wing. Drops it up top. Here's Briggs trying to get around Williams. Briggs resets to Sellers. Now right side on the wing, it's Miller. Miller, crossover, step back, good defense. Now the jumper on the other side is off the mark from Briggs. Rebound handled by Cornegay Lucas. Oh, all of a sudden, Towson has it down to a 3-point game with 5 minutes to go in the first half. Tigers had the lead against Pitt yesterday for almost the entire first half. Left side, Williams into the corner. Off the screen, this is Johnston. Bounce pass, top of the key. Fulmore, couple pumps, trying to get around Alexander. To the near side, Williams tees it up from deep and hits. 3-pointer for Sky Williams, and all of a sudden, we are tied at 26. Sellers on the near side. Bounce pass to the elbow. Williams with a good pass. Alexander wide open for 2. Or I'm sorry, that is Mila Reynolds. Mila Reynolds for 2. $15, not 5 for Maryland. Reynolds with the bucket to make it a 2-point lead. Here's a 3 in front of the Maryland bench, and it's good. India Johnston gives Towson the lead, 29-28, and Brenda Freeze will call a 30-second timeout. We'll keep it right here on the Maryland Radio Network. We're also filling for Ali Kubak today, the junior who transferred from Towson and is watching her team play against her former team today. Ali was an all-conference performer, third-team All-CAA for Towson last season, averaging 15 points and 6 rebounds per game. She had 29 blocks, so right around a block per game as well. Was on the All-CAA rookie team in the 2020-21 season. A former state champion in the state of Delaware, where she was the Gatorade Player of the Year. Hometown listed as Elkton, Maryland, and Ali Kubek unable to play today due to injury, but able to watch her former team against her current team. Gia Cook is in for the first time, as is Bree McDaniel. A couple of freshmen getting in there for the first time for the Terps. Here's Myers on the other side. Missed the shot. McDaniel crashing hard. Missed the layup. They battle for it underneath. McDaniel brings it out. Gets it to Cook, top of the key. Cook kicks it out. Open look from the near side is good. Brene Alexander for three. Puts Maryland back in front. So Reynolds comes out. McDaniel comes in along with Cook. Towson breaks the press with 3:25 remaining in the first half. Terps by 2. Cornegay Lucas around the back dribble. Gives it to the corner. Long jumper from the wing is good. Ryan Evans for 2 to tie it at 31. Gia Cook, the freshman, directing traffic. They run a screen for McDaniel. McDaniel crashes hard and gets hit and will go to the line. Foul will be against Johnson for Towson. But Gia Cook yesterday set a career high with 10 points, a career high with 20 minutes played. Her previous high had been 16 minutes. Freshman made some big plays in big moments to try and lead the Terps back against DePaul. Ultimately, Pinzon was playing in crunch time, and the Terps were not able to complete the comeback against the Blue Demons, but Cook gave them some good minutes. Of the 9 Maryland players to play at least 10 minutes in yesterday's game, Cook had the best plus-minus. She was +2, even though Maryland lost by 9. So when Gia Cook was out there, she made a positive impact and had to wait almost the entire first half to finally play today. Almost got the steal, but Williams steps through instead. Bounce pass underneath. On the block, the shot is off the mark. Johnson able to reset it for Towson. On the drive, this is Cornegay Lucas banking it in and drawing the foul in the process. It's a blocking foul against the Terps as Alexander was ruled to be in the restricted area. So a chance for a three-point play as Towson regains the lead. Again, this is an up-and-coming Towson program. Laura Harper has done a great job in just a few months as the head coach. Has brought in some talented transfers. Has gotten some players to return from last year's squad. Tigers started 3-0 before their loss against Pittsburgh yesterday. And they've got the lead here against Maryland. Cornegay Lucas lines up the free throw and makes it. It's a 2-point lead for the Tigers. Pinzon brings it up for Maryland. Calls out a play, finds Briggs on the far side. Briggs beyond the arc. Starts her dribble, drives down the baseline. Help defense comes. The layup is up and no good. Myers taps it to herself. Resets to Diamond Miller. Miller gets the screen, tries the baseline, spins, bounce pass. They hand it off. Briggs to the corner. Masonis wide open for three. Book it. Faith Masonis connects again for Maryland. Had a double-double yesterday. And Masonis now into double figures with 10 points in the first half today. That pass knocked away by Myers. Myers tear-ups the sideline and is headed back the other way. Into Cornegay Lucas. Lefty shot is no good. Lucas with the rebound headed back for Towson. Under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Pass to the corner. Three from the wing. Too strong. Miller with a heck of a box out, and Myers fires it to Miller. Miller length of the court, pass is batted away. It'll stay with the Terrapins. Johnston with good defense running the court, able to deny Masonis, who had gotten ahead of the pack for a moment. Sellers returns. Briggs comes out. Maryland will have it in the far corner on the offensive end. Sellers now will inbound for Maryland. The official tells her to come over back towards the corner where that ball went out of bounds. Gets it to Masonis. Masonis hands to Sellers. Sellers off the screen. Open look from 18, and she makes it. Might have got bumped in the process. Sellers hit the deck after making the shot. Maryland back in front by 1. Cheyenne Sellers has been very reliable in both games for Maryland. It's actually a 3-point lead for the Terps, 37-34. Cornegay Lucas trying to get around. Pinzon's got the steal. Myers fires ahead. Pinzon all alone for the layup and lays it in. Great hustle by Lucas. Almost got the block, but it's a layup for Pinzon, and Maryland leads by 5. 1:10 to go in the first half. Williams to the top of the arc, defended by 2 Terps. Has to hand to Johnston. Johnston will reset with just over a minute to play. And now it's Cornegay Lucas on the logo. Gets it to the right corner. Johnston working on Sellers. Will back it out to Cornegay Lucas. Shot clock down to 10. Nothing doing yet for the Tigers. Left side, Sky Williams. Shot clock at 6. Williams crosses over, gets through, pins on. Masonis over to help. Masonis bothers the shot and wins possession for Maryland. Williams missed it, and then it went off of her and out of bounds. It's a 7-0 Maryland run to regain control of this game in the final minute of the first half. Pinzon works it up with 40 seconds on the game clock, 15-second differential. Bounce pass underneath. Fadeaway shot for Myers off the front of the rim, and then Miller goes over the back. That'll be the second foul on Diamond Miller. Brenda Fries will dig into the bench. Miller immediately comes over to the bench. She knows that they're not going to risk a third foul here in the final 35 seconds. So Briggs will come in to play defense. Miller a little frustrated. She was limited to just 26 minutes yesterday because of some foul trouble. Didn't shoot it well yesterday. Is playing better today, but still not dominating the game like she's capable of. 26 seconds and counting. Williams with it for Towson, down by 5. Uses a screen, now breaks right. Now goes back left towards the top of the arc. Defended well by Sellers. Good feed underneath for Towson. Second pass underneath. Fulmore had it knocked away by Sellers, or I'm sorry, Johnson had it knocked away by Sellers. 12.6 on the game clock, 8 seconds on the shot clock. Baseline inbound for Towson. Cornegay Lucas will trigger. Lobs it to the top of the arc. Now on the right side, Johnson had it blocked by Briggs. 2 on the shot clock. There's a heave from nearly half court. It's no good. Masonis had the rebound, but the officials will blow the play dead. It's a shot clock violation against Towson with 4.6 remaining. Another sub for Maryland. Cook will come in to use her speed. Brenda Fries directing traffic. Cook will come over to get the inbound pass from Masonis. There's a lob for Cook. Cook with a head of steam across midcourt. 2 seconds to go. Gets inside, puts up the shot. Back of the rim, no. Good effort by Gia Cook. 18-foot floater was off, and that'll do it for the first half. Exciting half of action, albeit turnover-filled. 13 turnovers for Towson in the first half as Maryland goes on a late run, a 7-0 run over the final 2 minutes and 21 seconds to regain the lead here on day 2 of the Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off. It's the Terps 39 and the Tigers 34 here on the Maryland Radio Network. We'll be back in 5 minutes for some first half stats from Fort Myers.
Fans, looking to stick around for our next game in the Elevance Health Women's Fort Myers tip-off featuring the Pitt Panthers versus the WBB. All right, fans, it's time for your halftime entertainment, sponsored by B&I Contractors. Your contestant is Felipe. Felipe will attempt to make a layup. He'll just either hit a free throw, then a three-pointer, and a half-court shot in 30 seconds. If he does that, you will get a high five from Avery. World-famous Avery high five. Felipe, are you ready? Set. Go. the free throw. It's the three-pointer. You can step up to the inner three-point line. There are 3 lines you can take your pick. He's still going the outside. He hits it now. He's a half-court shot. Goes with noise. Can he make it? Almost. He's got 10 seconds. One more. 3, 2, 1. Nice try, Felipe. You still get a high five from Avery. How about thanks being generous? Those things cost money. That was your halftime contest watched by B&I Contract. Elvance Health is a proud title sponsor of the Elvance Health Women's Fort Myers Tip-Off. Elvance Health is a lifetime trusted health partner. And thinking of Fort Myers, islands, beaches, and neighborhoods, our spirit remains. Visit Fort Myers.
John Vittas welcoming you back here on the Maryland Radio Network. You're listening to Towson and Maryland women's basketball from Fort Myers, Florida. Let's take a look at some of the first half stats in this one, and I think Brenda Freese will like this stat sheet a lot better than yesterday's stat sheet, where Maryland shot just 32% in the game. They had shot right around that in the first half as well. Today, the Terps are shooting 45% from the field. But yesterday in the postgame press conference, Brenda talked about how the team took too many three-pointers. Maryland was 6 out of 29 from beyond the arc yesterday. That is 21%, and it wasn't the percentage that bothered her. She said that we just took too many threes. 29 attempts is way too many for her style of play. And today she will love the number that she sees. Maryland is 4 for 7 from 3. That is a big factor in this game, and it's why the Terps lead by 5, 39-34 Maryland here at halftime. Sky Williams is the game's leading scorer. 15 points for Towson. Was much quieter in the scoring department yesterday against Pittsburgh, was more of a distributor. But 15 points today on 5 of 6 from the field. She is 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Towson is actually out-rebounding Maryland in the first half, 20-16 on the boards. Maryland, though, pretty efficient. Diamond Miller, 10 points, 3 rebounds on 4 of 6 from the field. Faith Masonis also has 10 points on 4 of 6 from the field, and Masonis is 2 for 2 from the three-point line. Brene Alexander and Elisa Pinzon both have 5 points for Maryland as well. In terms of the plus-minus numbers, Maryland has been at their best when Abby Myers is on the court. Maryland is plus 13 with Myers on the court. She played 14 of the 20 minutes, and Maryland made the most of those minutes with Abby Myers, the Princeton transfer, on the court. Towson shooting 44% from the field, just 1 percentage point less than Maryland, but those turnovers have caused some major issues. 13 turnovers. Maryland has 10 points off of those turnovers, and that has also helped them get out to a 5-point lead. So better from beyond the arc, better defensively so far, but they have been out-rebounded. Those are some of the numbers that Maryland will be looking at halftime as they look to stretch this lead and hopefully win by double digits to make up for the loss yesterday against DePaul. We'll be back in about 5 minutes for the start of the second half between Maryland and Towson. You're listening to Maryland Women's Basketball on the Maryland Radio Network. We welcome you back to the Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off here on the Maryland Radio Network. It's the Terrapins 39 and the Towson Tigers 34 here on day 2 of 3 of this Fort Myers tip-off. I'm John Vittas, happy to have you along today as the women look to bounce back from their loss yesterday against DePaul. A lot of action all across Maryland athletics this weekend. We mentioned volleyball's 5-set win at Indiana yesterday. Maryland men's basketball with an impressive win against former Terp legend Juan Dixon, the head coach of Coppin State, and the Terps with a 95-79 win at the Xfinity Center yesterday. What about the performance from Julian Reese? 24 points and 10 rebounds on 10 out of 12 from the field in just 25 minutes of action. The sophomore was terrific. 22 points for Hakeem Hart and 21 points for Jameer Young. A fantastic performance from Kevin Willard's team to get to a perfect 6-0 to begin the basketball season. Maryland just 4 for 21 from 3 in that men's game yesterday, but still scored 95 points. So they were extremely efficient from 2-point range and made 25 free throws to win that game over Coppin State. Coppin State pretty competitive early on. It was only an 11-point margin at halftime, but the Maryland Terrapins ultimately win by 16 against Coppin State. The women with a 5-point lead so far on Towson. We're also tracking the Maryland football game going on right now at CQ Stadium. No score between Maryland and Rutgers. They are midway through the first quarter over in College Park. We are ready to go for the second half between Maryland women's basketball and Towson. Maryland in the red. They will now move from right to left. Towson in the white will move from left to right. Gold and black accents for the Tigers, and the same for Maryland with white numerals in Maryland across the chest. Here we go. Towson inbounds the basketball. We are underway here in the third quarter. The Terps lead by 5. Bounce pass to the far side. That was Nelson swinging it for Williams. Williams, their leading scorer and the leading scorer in the game, shovels it to Cornegay Lucas, tries the baseline, met by Diamond Miller. Bounce pass to the free throw line. Here's a good drive by Fulmore and a beautiful move by Kinziah Fulmore to lay it in with the left hand and make it a 3-point game. Diamond Miller pushing the other way for Maryland. Leans in, scoop shot, no good. And Cornegay Lucas over to tap it to herself. Towson wants to run. Cornegay Lucas crosses over on Myers into the lane, kicks to the corner. Long 2 is on the way, and it's down. That was 25, Ryan Evans on the jumper. And Towson quickly makes it a 1-point game. Handoff from Pinzon. Now it's Myers, far side. Masonis was over for the screen, but didn't use it. Myers backs it out. Masonis is wide open from the elbow, and she nails it. Faith Masonis has been fantastic. 5 for 7 from the field, 12 points for the New Jersey native. Back to a 3-point lead for Maryland. Pinzon at the top of the press. Myers now will come out to the half-court line to guard Cornegay Lucas. Now backs off a little bit with 17 on the shot clock. On the pull-up, Cornegay Lucas, back of the rim, no. Masonis with the rebound. Up ahead it goes to Sellers. Is that going to be offensive? It is. Sellers on the baseline, bowled over the defender, and it's a turnover for the Terps. 8:23 and counting. Towson inbounds the ball down by 3. Maryland would love to get some early separation here in the second half and run away with this game, but Towson, a really solid mid-major program under Terrapin legend Laura Harper. On the near side, it's Sky Williams. Fires it to the top of the arc. Pass down to the corner. Cornegay Lucas drives down the baseline. Good move between two big Terps defenders, but Miller comes away with the rebound on the miss. Bounce pass up ahead. Here's Sellers to the elbow. Sellers, a long contested 2 is down. Cheyenne Sellers with a great shot to put the Terps back up by 5. Cornegay Lucas gets it across midcourt. With 7:38 remaining in the third. Back to Cornegay Lucas on the near side. Sellers pops out to defender. Now at the free throw line, it's Fulmore. Fulmore looking for a teammate. Has to give it to Williams beyond the arc. Williams uses the screen, backs out, double team, and it's taken away. Williams, though, somehow gets it back by reaching down to the floor. Gets it to a teammate on the baseline. It's Nelson. Nelson's jumper is good. 10-foot jumper from the baseline for Alexia Nelson. Here's Myers ahead of the pack. Myers beats the Tigers down the court and lays it in. Abby Myers on the long outlet pass makes it 45-40 Terrapins. Nelson now will walk it up for Towson with 7 minutes remaining in the third. Teams trading 2-point buckets early here in the second half. At the free throw line, there is a pull-up for Evans, and it's an air ball short. It'll go out of bounds to the Terps. Couple of subs here for the Tigers. Johnston returns at the guard position. Maryland being led by their seniors. 12 for Masonis, 10 for Miller to lead the Terrapins. This is Pinzon turning the corner to the elbow, backs it out, finds Myers around the screen and threw it away. Too far out in front for Myers. Here comes Cornegay Lucas, the good diagonal pass. The layup for Johnson is there. 3-point game now. A steal and a fast break opportunity for Towson. Towson has outscored Maryland on fast break opportunities. Masonis left alone at the top of the arc, missed the three. Offensive rebound from Myers, and she throws it off of Cornegay Lucas to win the possession for the Terps. Briggs will return for Pinzon. So no true point guard in there right now for Maryland. It'll probably be Sellers to bring the ball up. Sellers inbounding under the Towson hoop with 6:24 on the clock. Terps by 3. Gets a nice feed off to Miller, who banks it in with the left hand. Towson seemed to have everybody covered, and then all of a sudden Miller makes a cut, and she's open for 2. 5-point lead for Maryland. This is Nelson at the top of the arc. Gets it to the near side now. Bounce pass the other way. It goes to Williams. Williams down the baseline. Met by Masonis. Ripped away by Myers. Myers leading a 3-on-2. Sellers beats the Tigers down the court and lays it in. Able to adjust to Nelson on defense. Cheyenne Sellers with the layup. And Maryland goes up by 7. 5:50 to go in the third quarter. Maryland's defense wreaking some havoc here in the middle stages of the third. Forcing more turnovers. Williams with it, trying to find somebody to get it to. Cornegay Lucas has to pop beyond the arc to get it. Drives on Sellers, pulls up at the elbow, nowhere to go. Bounce pass, Williams on the baseline cut, goes around Masonis, kicks to the top of the arc. Good move by Nelson, gets herself open, misses the 2. Masonis and Miller crash into each other on the rebound, and they're going to call the foul on Towson. That was Johnson stepping in between the 2 Terrapins. And the loose ball foul will be on Johnson. Only the second foul of the quarter for the Tigers, so an inbound for Maryland. Masonis will send it in as Nelson gets a breather. And the starter, Gabby Scott, returns for Towson. We haven't seen as much of the freshmen today after Brenda Freese used them a lot more yesterday. We've seen them, but only for very brief stints. Here's Sellers spinning through the lane and then is blocked. They reach down to the floor to get it. Scott ends up with it for Towson, but the block will be credited to Tye Johnson. Still a 7-point game with under 5 minutes to play now, awaiting a media timeout on the next break. Cornegay Lucas fires to the far side for Johnston. Johnston uses the Scott screen, now finds Cornegay Lucas, drives the lane. Lefty floater is good. Around Sellers, and Cornegay Lucas with a difficult shot makes it a 5-point game again. Sellers will bring it up for the Terps. Defended tightly by Williams, finds Miller. Miller thought about the 3, going to pull up instead from 2, and her jumper is pure. Pretty shot from Diamond Miller, maybe a 17-foot jumper. Gets her up to a dozen points. All right, make it 14 now for Miller. 51-44 Maryland. On the drive, getting inside, it's Cornegay Lucas. Lefty shot goes down, and a chance for a 3-point play. Spent a couple of years at Virginia, had a 31-point game against Old Dominion. Cornegay Lucas transferring to Towson and making an impact against her in-state rival. It's Maryland 51, Towson 46, live from Fort Myers on the Maryland Radio Network. John Vittas welcoming you back to the Suncoast Credit Union Arena, the regular season home of the Florida Southwestern Buccaneers, one of the preeminent junior college programs around the country. They play men's and women's basketball in this venue as well as volleyball, and FSW volleyball just won the national championship a couple of weeks ago. Just a beautiful venue built only 5 years ago. Lots of glass here at the upper levels to bring some of that natural Florida sunshine in. Free throw is good for Towson, and then Briggs wasn't paying attention. Cornegay Lucas jumped the passing route but ended up out of bounds, so it'll stay with Maryland. Gia Cook is back in the game to run the point for the Terps. Abby Myers will inbound from under her own, or in front of her own bench. Cook around the screen handles the bounce pass with 4:10 remaining in the third. Maryland by 4. Cook uses the Myers screen, swings it back to Myers around the Masonis screen. Myers' three is off the back of the rim. Offensive rebound, though, for Alexander. Alexander gets tied up with Williams. Give credit to Sky Williams for reaching in there with two hands and trying to pull the ball free. Possession arrow will keep it with the Terrapins with 3:58 to go in the third. This is Cook firing it up top for Briggs. Briggs is going to pull the three. Didn't get the roll off the front of the rim, no good. And the rebound handled by Towson. Cornegay Lucas up top, dribbles left, defended by Briggs. Hands to Williams. Williams going to try another three. That one's no good. High rebound, though, for Johnson. They swing it around back to Scott. The freshman will shoot the three. That's off the back of the rim. Briggs, though, tapped it, and Williams ends up with it. Cornegay Lucas down the lane, and she's fouled. Outstanding possession for Towson. A couple of offensive rebounds, and now a chance at the free throw line. Laura Harper liked that. Cornegay Lucas will go to the free throw line. It's got to be a little surreal for Brenda Fries to look over there and see one of her star players from her national championship team in 2006. I know they coached against each other when Laura was at Coppin State, but now doing a great job with Towson. Laura Harper was the most outstanding player of the 2006 Final Four, had 40 points between the two games against UNC and Duke to get Maryland their national championship. Both free throws are good for Cornegay Lucas. And it's down to a 2-point game. Maryland 51, Towson 49 with 3:20 to go in the third quarter. This is Sellers in the corner, around the back dribble, able to keep it in bounds. Good defense from Cornegay Lucas. The pass underneath is knocked away by Johnson. And Maryland will get it back with 14 to shoot. Abby Myers will send it in. The senior transfer from Princeton. Sellers catches, drives down the baseline, had it knocked away. Cornegay Lucas playing some great defense, wins the steal for Towson. And now she'll bring it up with 3 minutes to go in the third. This UVA transfer playing at an ACC level. Gets inside and then gets fouled. Looked like Cornegay Lucas might have just lost her balance, but they're going to call the foul on Sellers. It was actually Alexander who was playing the tighter defense, and then Sellers coming in to trap is called for the foul. Diamond Miller will replace Sellers, who does have 8 points and 5 assists in this game. Towson can tie or take the lead on this possession. Williams up top. The lefty point guard dribbles back and forth, tried to cross over, leans in on Cook. No call either way. Miller ends up with it for Maryland. Miller across midcourt, no numbers, going to push herself, leans in and draws the foul. Oh, Diamond Miller got hit in the face there and is hunched over on her knees in front of the media table in the corner underneath the Towson hoop, and now is helped to her feet by her teammates. And have to shake that one off and go to the free throw line. Maryland has not done much damage at all from the line, just 3 out of 4 from the charity stripe in this game. So Miller having a chat with the official. They're making sure she's okay before they give her the basketball to shoot 2 free throws. Miller now with it, a couple of dribbles. First free throw is up and good. Extends the lead to 3. 15 points now for Diamond Miller. Came into today averaging 19 points per game. Makes the second. 16 points for Miller. Terps lead 53-49. This is Williams across half court. Very athletic point guard matchup. Gia Cook guarding Williams. Miller over for some help. Williams swings it left. This is Nelson. Nelson defended by Myers. Shot clock already down to 10. Into the corner. Williams thought about the three. Saw Miller's long arm waiting. Here's the pass down low. It's down low. The bank shot isn't open. There's a miss from Fulmore. Cook wants to run. Cook inside the arc now backs it out. Resets for Alexander. She's open for three. Missed the shot. Offensive rebound, Masonis. Faith Masonis lays it in. Some garbage points for the Belmar native. And it's a 6-point Maryland lead. 1:45 to go in the third. Williams, not much doing for Towson. Not a lot of movement without the basketball. Here's Nelson on the left side. Shot clock down to 10. Back to Williams. Williams will try the three. Low line drive shot is no good. Scooped up by Masonis. Another rebound for her. Miller around the back dribble to get around Williams. Miller another around the back dribbles. Will reset it. Backs it out. Maryland will set things up. 18 to shoot. Hand off to Myers. Myers comes to the ball now up top around the back dribble, and a reach-in is going to be called. A foul on Williams. That'll be the fourth foul against Towson, so no free throws yet. Both teams now with 4 fouls in the quarter. So we'll have free throws the rest of the way. It's a 2.5-minute scoring drought for Towson as Maryland has opened up a 6-point lead. Bounce pass for Cook, left side Myers on the wing, gets the screen to the free throw line. Now to the far side for Masonis. Masonis changes direction. Bounce pass underneath. Layup, though, no good from Cook. And the rebound pulled in by Towson. And then a foul, I believe, on Maryland. That was Cook trying to fend off Evans. Oh, no, they say that Cook just knocked it out of bounds. So an inbound for the Tigers with 58 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Nelson brings it up for the Tigers, down by 6. Now on the right sideline, trying to direct teammates. Cornegay Lucas at the top. Drives left on Cook. Cook goes down with some contact. Long 2 off the back of the rim. Offensive rebound, Fulmore, and a foul on the floor. We'll see who it's against. And it's going to be against the Terps. Alexander called for the foul, and that'll put Towson in the bonus. So Kinziah Fulmore will shoot 2. Alexander comes out of the game. She now has 3 fouls. Miller and Alexander both with 3 fouls. Miller is in the game with those 3 fouls as Fulmore lines up the first free throw. Another lefty, and she misses the first. Fulmore lines up the second now. Those yellow shoes. She lets it go, and it's short off the front of the rim. Bree McDaniel has the rebound. Under 40 seconds to go. Diamond Miller pushing. Will reset. Masonis cuts down the lane, drops to Myers. Myers with some space underneath, lays it in with the left hand. Great decision-making from Miller and Masonis. Sets up Myers for the layup, and it's an 8-point lead for the Terps. 21 seconds to go. Towson can hold for the final shot. Cornegay Lucas walks it back and forth with 14 seconds left on the game clock. Fulmore over for the screen. Cornegay Lucas crossing over on Cook, now gives it off to Williams. 7 seconds to go. Williams has to hurry, crossing over on McDaniel. 4 seconds, still nowhere to go. Cornegay Lucas with 1, pulls up a wild shot at the buzzer and missed it. Got it up on the rim, but it doesn't go down. It's a miss. And Maryland has a healthy lead going into the third quarter. Just as they finished the second quarter, the Terps finished the third quarter with a 6-0 run. And it's Maryland 57 and Towson 49. We head to the fourth quarter on the Maryland Radio Network and the One Maryland app. John Vittas bringing you back to Fort Myers, Florida. This is the Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off from the Suncoast Credit Union Arena. It's Maryland 57 and Towson 49 as we start the fourth quarter. Terps looking to even up their record for the weekend after the 9-point loss to DePaul yesterday. This is Alexia Nelson running the point for Towson. Double team comes for the Terps. Long two from Evans is off the mark, and Myers comes flying in for the rebound. Abby Myers has played better today as well for Maryland. Came in as the team's number 2 scorer. McDaniel remains in to start the fourth, and her pass is intercepted, taken away by Cornegay Lucas in transition. Sidestep, lays it up, no good. Rebound to Masonis, knocked away by Cornegay Lucas, and they'll give it to Maryland. Laura Harper and her players not happy with that call, and from our angle, it did look like it went off of Masonis. So Maryland catches a break, and will get the basketball with 9:26 on the clock. Now, Maryland will gladly take a win however they can get it here, but if they can win by double digits, they'll feel a lot better about themselves here this weekend. It was a heated video session last night, trying to get everybody back on track. It's a new group, 9 new players on this team. On the drive, tough shot from Myers, and she missed it. Rebound to Fulmore for Towson, and then Myers got a hand on the pass and somehow stayed in bounds. Gia Cook will outlet it for Maryland. Good steal by Myers to earn an extra possession for the Terrapins. Miller is going to try the 3 in the face of Cornegay Lucas. It's no good. They all go to the floor for it. 3 bodies on the deck, and they're going to call a jump ball. It will stay with Maryland. So Towson seemingly has had all of the inbound passes to start each quarter, and Maryland has gotten the possession on all the jump balls in this game. Basically 1 jump ball per quarter. Now the arrow will switch to the Towson side with 8:53 to play. Myers resets to Masonis, dumps it down low for Miller, draws the double team, spin move on the block, lefty floater is good. Diamond Miller not deterred by the double team down low. It's a 10-point lead for Maryland. 59-49 Terps. This is the time in the game yesterday where Pittsburgh was able to stretch their lead against Towson. We'll see if the Terps can do the same. There's a pull-up for Cornegay Lucas. That one rattles out. Gia Cook is there for the rebound. Cook pushing. Oh, pedal to the metal across midcourt. Leans in on Cornegay Lucas and draws the foul. Cook a little out of control on the shot, but she got the foul call. And so Gia Cook will have 2 free throws. Cook is starting to emerge as one of these top freshmen. And if they want to keep Sellers off the ball this season, Cook is going to get some minutes, trading off at the point guard spot with the USF transfer Pinzon. Gia Cook lines up the first free throw, and it is good. 10 points yesterday for Gia. That's her first point today. Has only played 7 minutes so far in this game. Misses the second free throw. Tapped out by Towson, and Evans runs it down. Up ahead it goes to Nelson with 8:10 to play. Top of the arc, Cornegay Lucas. Calls for a Fulmore screen. Miller and Masonis guarding up top. Cornegay Lucas double teamed, able to find Nelson on the near side. Shot clock down to 10. And then Miller is going to be called for her 4th foul, trying to seal off the edge there up top for Maryland. And Diamond Miller now has 4 fouls, and she will have to head to the bench. Brene Alexander will come in for Miller. There's the lob underneath. Fulmore got loose, and Fulmore scores. Masonis, a rare defensive breakdown, lost her player for just a second. Towson converts. Alexander feeds down low, and Cook lays it in. Amazing pass down low, and Gia Cook lays it in on the back door. A chance for a 3-point play for the freshman Cook. Brene Alexander keeping her head up, and a beautiful bounce pass for Gia. Cook with another free throw. Makes this one. 4 quick points for Cook, and it's Maryland by 12. Their largest lead today. 63-51 Maryland. Bounce pass to the corner. Cornegay Lucas gives it back to Nelson. Nelson driving, gets inside, tried to push off on Alexander. No call, got her own miss. Finds Cornegay Lucas in the corner. Cornegay Lucas met by Masonis, and her floater is down. Right over Masonis. Cornegay Lucas scores, and then a travel is called on Masonis, who was met by a defender right as she caught that pass and shuffled her feet. Back down to a 10-point game with just over 7 minutes remaining from Fort Myers, Florida. Second game of 3 for the Terps here in sunny Southwest Florida. Nelson with not much doing yet on the possession. Hands to Cornegay Lucas, now at the elbow. On the drive, it's Evans. Evans discards the defender, but it's an offensive foul. An elbow into Sellers, and Sellers went flying and earns the call for the Terps. So the Terps get the basketball back, leading by 10 here in the fourth quarter. Cook across the timeline, defended by Williams. Here's Masonis now, top of the arc, fires it to the corner. Myers gives it off. Alexander open for 3, and she got it. Brene Alexander from the left wing gives Maryland a 13-point lead, and a timeout taken by Towson. We will step aside with 6:43 remaining. The Terps continue to stretch their lead.
If you want a free t-shirt, make some noise. That t-shirt toss was sponsored by Elevance Health. Fans, we're going to follow this game is game 2 of the Elevance Health Fort Myers women's tip-off. It'll be Pick versus the ball.
We welcome you back on the Maryland Radio Network. John Vittas with you, and Maryland women's basketball here this weekend. Terps with a 13-point lead with 6:35 to go. Towson with the ball at the top of the arc. Cornegay Lucas changes direction. Now gets trapped, has to bounce pass for Williams. Williams driving in on Myers, also has to give it up. Cornegay Lucas, top of the key, gets around Sellers this time, lays it up and missed the shot. Sellers with the rebound for the Terps. Way long down the court for Masonis, who gives it off to Myers, and Myers lays it in for Maryland. A long outlet pass, and Masonis able to find her teammate out on the Towson end, and it's a 15-point lead for Maryland. 68-53 with 6 minutes to go in the game. Nelson trying to drive on Cook, got through, found Fulmore, but Fulmore defended by Cook, leans in on the smaller Cook and banks it in. Fulmore, a little bit of indecision there when she first caught it, but ultimately able to score, and it's a 13-point game again. Here's Masonis on the drive, gets by Fulmore, but missed the layup. Put too much on it, and Towson has the rebound with 5:37 to go. Long pass the length of the court. Williams on the other end, dumps it down low. Fulmore defended tightly by Alexander, puts it on the floor, was going up for the hook shot, lost the handle, has to give it up to Nelson. Nelson down the baseline. Gives it off to Williams. Williams drives inside into Myers. Contact and a foul. It'll go against Abby Myers with 5:22 remaining. 2 free throws on the way for Sky Williams.
Williams the line for Towson, shooting 2.
So Williams a couple spins of the basketball, and her free throw is up and good. Maryland still up by 12. Second one rattles off. No Diamond Miller at the moment for Maryland with 4 fouls, but she'll be back in soon. Just over 5 minutes remaining. They lob it to the corner for Masonis. We haven't seen pins on in a while either. Masonis down the baseline. Cross-court pass handled by Sellers. Dumped down for Alexander. Masonis now fields a hard pass. Gets it out to Sellers, top of the arc. Sellers lost it on the way up. Good defense from Nelson. Reset for Maryland, but only 6 to shoot. Alexander tried to get it to Masonis. It's knocked away. 3 to shoot. Alexander has to heave. Long 3 is no good. And the rebound to Cornegay Lucas. Here comes Towson with 4:47 to go. Maryland by 12. On the wing, it's Nelson. Nelson defended by Myers. Dribbles through the legs. Crosses over. Now to the free throw line. Bounce pass for Evans. Evans lost it. Cook trying to rip it away, and it's a jump ball. Gia Cook will win the arrow back for Maryland. Towson will get the basketball back with 4:37 to go. There will be a media timeout. We had one a moment ago, but that was for the team called timeout, and now our traditional timeout with 4:37 to go. Final media timeout of the ball game, Maryland by 12. You're listening to the Maryland Radio Network. John Vittas bringing you back to the Elevance Health Fort Myers tip-off. Maryland 68 and Towson 56. Terps trying to close out this win and gets a 5-2 on the early season. Up to number 14 in the AP poll coming into the week. Likely to drop after the loss yesterday, but a couple of wins here at the end of the weekend will keep them in it. There's Williams on the drive and able to finish. Sky Williams with a tough finish. Myers didn't think there should be continuation there. Thought the foul might have been on the floor, but they're going to give Williams credit for the basket and will get one free throw to go with it. 18 points now for Sky Williams to lead Towson, and more efficient than their other double-digit scorer. Cornegay Lucas has 14 points. but is shooting under 30%. Meanwhile, Williams is now 6 for 10 from the field. Completes the three-point play. Cook will fire it across. Myers feeds the middle and Sellers. Now into the corner, Alexander. Good ball movement from the Terps after the press was put on. Sellers now from point blank, able to loop it in. Good reactions from Sellers with the defender closing quickly, able to flip it over the defender and score. Maryland back up by 11. Terps 70, Towson 59. 4 minutes remaining. Williams drives right on Cook, gives it to Cornegay-Lucas. Maryland switching nicely there at the top of the arc. Cornegay-Lucas turns, has an open look, missed it. Offensive rebound, tapped back out to Cornegay-Lucas. Here is Johnston for three, and she buries it. Beautiful shot from India Johnston to make it an 8-point game. Up ahead it goes. This is Briggs. And now Sellers will slow it down, caressing the basketball with 18 seconds to go on the shot clock. Here's the dump down from Briggs. Alexander backs down, kicks to the corner. Briggs around the back dribble, finds Myers. Myers goes right, spin move, puts it up off the glass. It's no good. And Towson ends up with it. Good defensive possession from the Tigers. Evans the rebound. Across half court, it's Lucas. Around the back on Sellers, and a foul is called. Sellers will volunteer herself for the foul. That is her third. Alexander and Myers have 3. Miller is still on the bench with 4. Oh, and then a quick inbound. Maryland wasn't ready to play defense, but Cornegay-Lucas missed another layup. Just 5 for 19 from the field for Cornegay-Lucas, who has all the moves in the world, just hasn't been able to finish. Some good opportunities. Myers gets loose underneath. Cook finds her, and Myers lays it in. A defensive breakdown for Towson. The Terps take advantage, and it's back to a 10-point lead for Maryland. Under 3 minutes to play between the Terps and Towson. Sellers got her hand on the pass. I thought it might have hit Johnston, but they're going to give it to Towson. Out of bounds, off Maryland. Fulmore and Miller come back in. So here is Diamond Miller playing with 4 fouls. Will re-enter at the 2:44 mark here in the fourth. Maryland now with 4 players in double figures. 10 for Sellers and 10 for Myers. Williams dribbles around at the top of the key, drives on Briggs. Cook over to help. Here's the handoff. Johnston swings to the near side. Cornegay-Lucas probes the baseline. Miller with the block. Fearless with 4 fouls. Diamond Miller denies and then draws the foul on Cornegay-Lucas. A frustration foul on the Towson side. And Maryland will get it back. That's the 4th team foul, so no free throws yet for Maryland. As Miller comes up with a big block. Miller now with a block to go with 7 rebounds and 18 points. Cook to Myers, top of the arc. Here is Sellers, back to the basket at the elbow. Hands to Miller coming around the corner. In on Ryan. Here's the scoop shot, and Miller lays it in. Diamond Miller with a sweet move against Ryan Evans, and Maryland goes up by a dozen. Just 2 minutes to go. Towson's got to pretty much make all their shots at this point. Down by 12. Not much developing. Coach Harper calling out plays. Cross-court pass to the opposite corner. Baseline drive, Johnson resets to Evans. Cornegay-Lucas now drives on Cook, pulls up from 16, and she's short. Myers the rebound, and Maryland's got control of this game. 1:38 to go, up by 12. Cook will burn some clock at the logo at center court. Crosses over on Johnson, gets to the wing, and draws the foul. And Gia Cook will have 2 free throws. Foul will be on India Johnston. And Cook can help salt this one away. Maryland 7 for 9 from the free throw line. Not a ton of opportunities. It's been mostly just Cook and Miller from the free throw line. Maryland has used 10 players in this game. 9 of the 10 have scored. Cook converts on the first. A swish for the freshman Gia Cook, product of Bishop McNamara, a native of Clinton, Maryland. Couple of dribbles, lines up the second, spins the ball, puts it up, and it's in. Gia Cook, a career high yesterday, and some late points in crunch time today. Stay tuned. We'll talk with Brenda Fries after the game as the 3 goes for Johnston. to make it an 11-point game with 1:15 to play. There's the kick out from Sellers. Cook will back it up, defended by Cornegay Lucas, right side. Here's the lob in the corner. This is Sellers, and Sellers eventually is fouled. Maryland burned 15 seconds there before the Tigers decided to foul Sellers. So Towson trying to extend the game with 1:04 on the clock. Terps lead by 11. Sellers converts on the first, and it's a 12-point lead for the Terrapins. Maryland's brought a nice cheering section to this tournament. A few dozen fans packed in up above their bench. You probably haven't heard them as much today. They are on the far side of the arena from where we are set up. We had more crowd noise yesterday, and you'll probably hear them again tomorrow. Here's a long three again for Johnson, and she got another one. Back-to-back threes for Johnson to make it a 10-point game. Sellers across half court. And then Sellers draws the foul, almost walked with it. But Cheyenne will go back to the line with 55 seconds remaining in the game. So Towson is extending the game, and they are hitting shots, but Sellers just made both free throws, and we'll get another chance here. McDaniel is going to come in for Miller to play offense-defense. Miller with 4 fouls will only play on the offensive end here. As Sellers lines up the free throw and makes it. 3 out of 3 at the line for Cheyenne Sellers. Sophomore from Ohio, the Big Ten 6th player of the year last season, averaged 8 points and 4 rebounds, and she is exceeding those totals this season. Sellers makes the second, puts Maryland back up by 12, and Laura Harper will use a 30-second timeout. Well, it's great to see Coach Harper back in the state of Maryland. Her last job was as a high school head coach at the renowned Montverde Academy in the Orlando, Florida area. So she was in this state the last few years. Before that, an assistant at Florida, George Washington, High Point, Loyola, and American. And now up in the Baltimore area at Towson. She was the MEAC Coach of the Year last season at Coppin State. Led the Eagles to their first winning season since 2013-2014. And now leading this Towson program. Boy, Coppin State was 22-95 in the 4 years before Coach Harper took over and built them up into a winning program, and now heads around the Beltway to coach at Towson. Towson gets it in with 53 seconds and counting. Williams looking for a shot, defended tightly by Myers. Cornegay Lucas drives around McDaniel, banks it up, no good. Offensive rebound to Scott. Scott to the corner. Oh, Johnson gets absolutely smothered. Sellers with the block in the corner. It'll be a corner inbound for Towson with 43.6 seconds remaining. Johnson descended in, again defended by Sellers. Those long arms causing problems. Cornegay Lucas will drive off of Briggs and hit the shot. 10-footer goes for Cornegay Lucas. Back to a 10-point game. Abby Myers trying to break the press. She does. And the foul from behind on Cornegay Lucas. Game clock down to 37 seconds. We have good news up at CQ Stadium right now as well. A Roman Hemby touchdown has extended the lead for Maryland football, now with a 14-0 lead on Rutgers. Looking to finish the football season 7-5. Myers makes the first free throw here in Fort Myers to put Maryland back up by 11. Again, stay tuned. We'll have Coach Freeze with you after the game here from Fort Myers. 81-70, second free throw, no good. Across half court is Cornegay Lucas. Hands to Johnston, kicks it back out. Cornegay Lucas on the drive. Lefty scoop shot, spins off the rim. McDaniel the rebound. Gia Cook with it now. Will they foul? They will. Foul is going to be assessed here. That is Wilson who came in just to foul. And with 20 seconds remaining, Gia Cook will have 2 free throws to continue to extend this lead. So it looks like Maryland is going to get out of here with a win, even up their record for the weekend, and it'll essentially be a rubber game tomorrow against Pitt for Free throw is up and no good. Cook missed it. It'll be another 11:30 a.m. tip-off tomorrow. Cook's second free throw is no good. Missed it on the side of the rim. Cornegay Lucas tries to save it, but it's out of bounds, and so Maryland will get it back with the clock now at 17.0. Abby Myers inbounds. Briggs gives it back to Myers, and I think Towson will back off now. Laura Harper says do not foul, and the Terps are going to get a solid win. A really good mid-major program in Towson. And Maryland and Towson meet all the way down here in Southwest Florida, and Maryland will pull it out. A double-digit victory for Brenda Freese's Maryland Terrapins. The final score, Maryland 81 and Towson 70. An 11-point win for the Terps. After losing by 9 against DePaul yesterday, they get back in the win column and improve to 5-2. Towson, who came in undefeated, is now 3-2, and they'll have one more matchup tomorrow against DePaul. That'll be a 2 o'clock tip for the Tigers. Maryland again at 11:30 a.m. against Pitt, an undefeated team right now and a really strong program. Coach Freese is on her way up, so we'll have a chance to talk to her after her team gets an 11-point win here at the Suncoast Credit Union Arena. As we take a look at some of the final numbers, 20 points for Diamond Miller, 14 each for Masonis and Sellers. Masonis had a double-double yesterday, 6 of 10 from the field today. As we hand the mic over to Coach Freese. And Brenda, I'm sure you like the final score, the stat sheet, and the process a lot better today. What do you feel like Maryland did better today compared to yesterday?
Well, it took us a while. Credit to Towson. I thought they did a phenomenal job with a great game plan. You know, taking care of the basketball. I mean, 11 turnovers. We've got to continue to keep having that ball security and, you know, shot a lot less threes. So I think between the two really helped us to, you know, be able to have more shots at the basket.
It seems like in the bigger moments in both games, Faith Masonis was the steadying presence that your team needed. Double-double yesterday. She backs it up today with 14 points, better than 50% from the field. With this team, so many new players, why is she so valuable?
Oh, I mean, she's, no question, been our most outstanding player day in and day out. She's just steady. I mean, obviously, coming back from an ACL injury and where she's at, I mean, if we didn't have Faith, I'm not sure where we would be. Just makes consistent plays on both ends of the floor for this team every single night out.
You were able to work the freshman in both games of this tournament, more so yesterday, but Gia Cook has gotten some crunch time minutes in the fourth quarter, hit some free throws down the stretch today. She missed a couple too, but she has really shown off her speed and made an impact in both games. What have you seen from her in this tournament that you've liked?
Yeah, obviously she's really quick, and so you know, just having that speed for us matters. And again, the freshmen, as they continue to gain experience and practice in games, there's huge minutes. I thought she took advantage of them today.
Last game here in Fort Myers tomorrow against Pittsburgh, a really solid program. What are some things you want to clean up for the Panthers tomorrow?
Yeah, they're a really good team as well. We're going to have to, again, we've got to be able to start being able to separate and being able to come out ready to play in the first half.
Thank you, Brenda. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much.
There you have it. The head coach of your Maryland Terrapins, Brenda Freese, joining us here on the air at the Suncoast Credit Union Arena. Big thank you to Coach Freese for coming up here to our position up atop the arena after her team gets the win against Towson. Once again, your final score, Maryland 81 and the Towson Tigers 70 as the Terps shoot 49% and win the turnover battle today against Towson. Really strong performance. 4 players in double figures for Maryland and some contributions from the freshmen as well, as Cook, Reynolds, and McDaniel all put up points in this game to help Maryland improve to 5-2 on the season. Again, one more matchup for Maryland. It'll be an 11:30 a.m. tip. We'll be on the air at 11:20 tomorrow morning to bring you that matchup against an undefeated Pitt Panther team. They are currently on the court warming up for their 2 o'clock game here on FSWBucks.com as well. We thank you for tuning in. Good luck to Maryland football. They're out to a nice start against Rutgers today up in College Park. It's been a pleasure to call these games here from Fort Myers. For everybody here with Maryland women's basketball in Fort Myers, I'm John Vittas saying so long as the Terps get a double-digit win against Towson.